Okay, I think that it is time that we collect on these fucking late fees. You want to duck and dodge me? Hey, Evil? You want to go out and get those late fees?
What?
Drewski said he's got the money, he just hasn't been able to make it out here.
Drewski's late fees. Yeah.
Yeah, all you gotta do is go to the address that's on file and get the money. No problem.
I'm on it, boss. I'm on it. Okay. Late fees. I'm gonna go get them.
Thanks, man. Hello, internet fans, and welcome to 3B Video. I'm your host, Rotten Roger DeMarco, and today we're going to be talking about Kevin Tenney's 1996 film, Pinocchio's Revenge. Alright, so here is your plot synopsis. A little girl is given a wooden marionette doll for her birthday from her mother, who acquired it from a serial killer who's on death row. Yeah, and the doll is alive, and the doll is killing people. Pretty straightforward, not a whole lot going on. But before we get into my overall thoughts of this film, first, let's take a look at
Ryan Rogers! Splatter facts.
We have 4 dead bodies. We have 4 titties. I'm liking these odds. And we have 1 bush. We have defense attorney cleavage, snarky little girls, gratuitous Diet Coke placement, living room pinata. We have pervy puppet peeping. Yeah, that's a thing. Puppet POV, vengeful ventriloquist violence, cricket crushing, and hand stabbing. The methods of death include and are limited to off-screen.
Why, oh why are you always fucking up my bloody scenes?
Electric chair, unplugged, and fire pokered. Alright, so now let's get into my overall thoughts of this film. Some of you might recognize the name Kevin Tenney, and that's because he is known for directing Night of the Demons, Witchboard, Witch Trap, Witchboard 2. You know, he's one of these 80s directors who was always rocking out the super fun, gratuitous horror. And this movie definitely has that low budget, almost made for TV feel, where the puppet sort of looks like it belongs in a Goosebumps episode. It looks close enough to a wooden dummy, but also kind of looks like it's made out of foam latex. And Gabe Bartalos, who I talk about a lot on this channel, is responsible for the effects in this film. And I'm not taking anything away from the doll design itself, because it is very good. It is very creepy in its own way. And this movie does a great job of waiting a very long time before we see any actual doll action, with the doll moving around or the doll doing things. Most of it is left up to your imagination or done through POV shots, because when a movie has a budget this small, they don't want to blow their wad. They know what they are capable of doing on camera, so they save the money shots for later in the film, which actually works to the benefit of this film, because you don't get oversaturated with the puppet violence. You get to make it up in your mind, and it's gonna look better in your head than it would ever on screen. So whether that was a budgetary choice or just excellent directing, it really works for this movie. And as far as the quality of this movie goes, like I said, it does feel very much like a made-for-TV movie. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I have sort of a weird nostalgic connection with this movie, being that I used to rent it all of the time. Actually, from these very shelves that are in this video store now. I used to frequent a local video store and every other weekend pick up a couple of movies. Well, there was always one or two that were a safe bet, and then you would rent a really weird title. And Pinocchio's Revenge was sort of my safe bet, because I knew there was violence, but I also knew there was a decent amount of nudity in the film. And with the cover looking the way that it does, you can sort of get away with renting that as a small child. They're gonna let you unless they read why it's rated R on the back. Just saying. Sneaky little pervert tactics. I think that this movie is a decent gateway film for a child, despite the nudity that's in this movie. There are mild eye-covering scenes in this movie. You know, you're not gonna want your kid to see the babysitter taking a shower. You're gonna cover her eyes or his eyes for that. But the violence is pretty tame in this movie. It definitely has that Goosebumps vibe to it, just with the nudity kind of shoehorned in there for you. So if you're looking to branch out with your children's horror viewings, this could be one. You just gotta be right there to cover Johnny and Susie's eyes, you know, whatever their fucking names are. And this is a really fun killer doll movie. And we have stacks upon stacks of killer doll movies. And when you were going to the video store, there was no shortage of these films. Obviously, you have the heavy hitter, which is the Child's Play films. And then you have Dolly Dearest, or you have all of the Puppet Master franchise. And when you're at a video store, believe me, it's impossible to walk past a Puppet Master movie. It was impossible to walk down the horror aisle and not be drawn in by these killer puppet or killer doll movies. And this one didn't get a lot of the love that I feel like it should have, because it was competing with Child's Play films, or because it was even competing with Puppet Master films, which probably, I would imagine that Pinocchio's Revenge had a bigger budget than all of the Puppet Master films, but just because the Puppet Master movies, the covers looked so good and it had such a reputation. When you were in a video store and you saw the full moon logo, you knew you were gonna get everything you were looking for: blood, boobs, and puppets. 2 B's and a P. But this movie does stand on its own, and it deserves to be seen. It deserves to be remembered and respected. I know that my good friend Christian Hannah Horror has a soft spot for this movie as well. And I like that Kevin Tenney obviously has a film family that he likes to work with. Once you watch this movie, if you're a fan of Witchboard or you're a fan of his other films, you start to notice all of these smaller roles being taken up by people that he has used before. So you know that he can rely on these actors and actresses to fill these small roles. Like, for example, the paramedic in the film is actually played by David's friend from Witchboard, who gets smashed by all the sheetrock. And it's very subtle and it's very quick, but you're like, hey, I know that guy. It's awesome to have these little Easter eggs in the film. And David, which is funny, I think they just always cast this guy as a guy named David, is played by Todd Allen, also from Witchboard. And he's always this nice boyfriend material guy. What this guy was born to play, nice stepdad who's good with a hammer. He's awesome in this movie, just like he's awesome in Witchboard. And I do have to say that for a movie that's centered around this Pinocchio doll and centered around the doll's relationship with the child, that there is actually surprisingly good acting from the lead character who plays Zoe, Brittany Elise Smith. She's awesome. Of course, there are some silly lines of dialogue, or they may be delivered in an odd way, but she is actually holding her own among these veteran actors and actresses, and she does a great job of making you feel sorry for her. Very on par with Alex Vincent from Child's Play. Sort of this damaged, sad child that you just want everything to be okay for them. And she does a great job. Another thing that is super cool about this movie is that for all of the body work of Pinocchio, when you see Pinocchio actually running around, they had to cast a little person to do this role. And who better than Mini-Me himself, Vern Troyer, who was also in Wishmaster as the Djinn. It was just an unexpected credit to see, so rest in peace, buddy. But in my personal opinion, this movie is 100% popcorn as fuck. Because it's a silly, direct-to-video, child's play knockoff, but not exactly. It's not so much like Child's Play to make you roll your eyes, but it's a fun, killer doll movie that has everything that you want for your Saturday evening. You know, you have your nudity, you have a fair amount of violence, you have a cool killer design, you have just a smidge of gore. Nothing too crazy, but it's fun, it's silly, it's meant to be watched with you and your buddies, having a good time. And I can't say enough good things about this movie. So if I have swayed you to check out Pinocchio's Revenge, click the link in the description and get a copy for you today. And don't forget to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. We do 4 videos a week, counting the live streams on Friday nights. We just want to create content for you, hang out with you guys, and talk about movies that you might have forgotten about. So if you're having a good time, stick around. But I suppose I should probably get going because after all, there's a lot of movies out there and somebody's got to watch them. So why not me, right? But she was a dog barking. Freebie video where dogs bark upstairs. We're just gonna ride this out.